the lie is that somehow it is a Trump abortion ban, which isn't even a thing, that killed that woman, when in fact it was because she got a medical abortion and then there was absolute medical malpractice that had nothing to do with laws or anything legal about abortion as a procedure. So it's just a lie that they keep telling over and over, much like Project 2025 is a lie, and those things did not get called out.
This is what they do. They provide Democrats with cover, and there's a completely different set of rules for Democrats than there is for Republicans, and as evidenced again by the whole setup of that debate last night. If you couldn't see that, then I can't help you. I mean, it was 3-on-1, and I was like, here we go again.
All right, guys, huge debate last night. Huge debate. Oh, Jd Vance putting on a master class. It was, if you ever wondered why Donald Trump picked Jd Vance, I think he alleviated all of those concerns last night. One end to the other, on point. And Tim Walz looking like a rumply old uncle that got pulled out and didn't know where he's supposed to be. I've got Chicks on the right here with me. We're going to go through the debate, give you a little analysis. And then as promised, every Wednesday, the road to 270. We've got it in store for you today. This is going to be awesome. Before I do that, I want to tell you about one of our brand new great sponsors. You know, I know a lot of you kick off your morning with coffee. You're big coffee drinkers all day long. Here's the thing that I love about Wired to Fish. This is, these guys are fantastic. Wired to Fish is great tasting coffee, but it actually is consistent with what I think my values are, and I think are probably consistent with yours. These guys make great tasting coffee. It's Arabica beans from Guatemala and Mexico. But here's the kicker. They care so much about like our earth and sustainability. They give back 25% of their profits to faith-based programs and clean water initiatives. I love clean water. I want the earth to be clean, but I want to do it on my terms. I don't want the government to tell me what to do. These guys support great efforts to keep the earth healthy and clean, and they support faith-based programs. I mean, if you're going to drink coffee, you might as well drink a great tasting coffee that's supporting causes that are consistent with our values. I love that. I love products that I know I can get behind. And Wire to Fish is just that. So if you're a coffee drinker, do me a favor. Join a bunch of folks that are turning over and supporting companies like these guys that are having a positive impact. You know, you're drinking coffee anyway. You might as well drink something that's great tasting and consistent with your values. If you go to wired2fishcoffee.com, and it's not just two TWO or TOO, it's the number. So it's wired, the number 2, fishcoffee.com. And you'll get 15% if you use code WeCare on your first order, 15% off. But again, why, if you're going to be guzzling coffee all day to stay awake or because you love it, do it consistent with your values. And I love what these guys do, both in terms of the environment and giving back to faith-based, organizations that are so critical right now. We don't need more government. We need more companies, that support organizations like this. So wired2fishcoffee.com, and use code WeCare for 15%. All right. Just a reminder, we're going to do a little debate analysis. Then we're doing Road to 270. You don't see this anywhere else, do you? For a reason. No one's going to take the time to run through the states and give you the detail that we do. This is going to be fantastic. And plus, we're going to do this every Wednesday going forward. Tell your friends, share the show, because that's it. Michael Watley, the chair of the RNC, is coming up on Friday. Tomorrow, we've got the great panel discussion. So a lot coming up. Okay. And I don't have a ton of time, so I'm sorry I got to rush through this, but, you know, we've talked about the consequences of Democrats being in control. You guys know what they did, right? They hired more IRS agents. These IRS agents are coming after people, you know, their taxes, business, personal, it doesn't matter. A lot of people had issues with COVID in terms of paying their taxes or not paying the right amount or whatever. Well, guess what? They've got 50,000 people that are going through your business now, and they're going to upend everything in your life to get whatever money they think they can to fund more government. If the IRS sends you one of these pay up notices, they come knocking, do not go it alone. I don't care if you don't think that you need help, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million, you need professional help. The best in the business, in my opinion, are the folks at Tax Network. TNUSA.com/Sean Spicer. TNUSA.com/Sean Spicer. They've recovered over $1 billion. Get it? They know what they're doing. They're effective at it. But do not think that you can take on the IRS or frankly any government institution on your own. Get the help that you deserve and need. My friends at Tax Network will help you if it's the IRS that you're facing. TNUSA.com/Sean Spicer. All right. I want to bring in Chicks on the Right, talk about this debate and where we think things head from there. Mock and Daisy, here we go. Ladies, good to see you again. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. Let's start with the little event that occurred last night. Just generally speaking, I would love to know, and Mock, I'll start with you because you're wearing green and I like green. What were your takeaways last night?
Well, I'm stunned to discover this morning that there are polls that are suggesting there was a tie or even that Walz won, which is absurd on its face. I think Jd Vance won. It was nice in some respects to see some dignity and decorum come back to a vice presidential debate. However, there were parts of me also that wished that there would have been a little more, zingers. I would have loved to have seen Walz get just annihilated on the flip-flopping by Kamala, the fracking, the stolen valor, all the things. And there was just so many things that didn't get brought up. But that said, I thought JD was phenomenal. He's brilliant. He was calm. He wasn't mean. And I think that he had a fine line to walk because he knew that Walz was going to go after his elitism and his Yaleism. And so he had to be kind and warm, and he did that perfectly.
Yeah, Daisy, what do you think?
I agree with everything that Mock just said. I think it was another 3-on-1 debate for anybody with half a brain that was watching it.
We'll get there in a second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the end, his closing statement kind of said everything to me. Like, Taylor Swift likes me. Well, so does Dick Cheney and Putin and Iran and everybody else that sucks. So I think at the end of it, I honestly think that Tim Walz probably wanted to vote for Vance.
Yeah. I felt like he was like, we actually kind of agree. And I think I felt like it was going to be one of those moments like, maybe you should just do the job because I'm not really good at it.
Right. Exactly.
As I said, the assistant football coach fumbled the ball and lost it last night.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the question this sort of existential question that I asked, because I agree with everything that you guys have said. I thought JD gave a masterclass. He looked confident and relaxed and authentic, right? He came across as like somebody, I loved him telling his story. I got so many texts from people last night that said, you know what? You were right. He really is that good. Because there's a lot of people who didn't know him and they heard everything they knew about him through the media. They were like, I heard he's evil and has horns. And then last night people were like, wow, I don't actually like Tim Walz, but I like this JD guy. Here's the question though. Did it move the needle? Do people go, okay, maybe I don't want to vote for her now and I will vote for Trump, or vice versa?
I don't know. I don't think that it really moved a lot, like a huge needle. It didn't move it a lot, but I do think he did a really great thing in that first question by, listen, I know a lot, like Mock was like, is he doing a Kamala thing here in this first question by like saying I was, raised at like in middle class, that guy. But a lot of people, like you say, didn't know who he was because, the media is terrible and they don't do a good job showcasing people on our side of the aisle. Instead, they do a great job demonizing them. So he did a really good job opening up by saying, because they didn't have opening statements. So he was like, this is who I am. This is where I come from. And now I'm going to answer the question. And he did a great job encapsulating who he is and in introducing himself to the people that didn't know him. And so if there are people out there who are like, who is this guy? They got a good snapshot into who he is. And that was brilliant. It was a really great move on his part.
I think the only way that it may have moved the needle is if there were people who were actually buying into this narrative that Walz and Kamala have tried to set, which is that Jd Vance is weird. Mm-hmm. And so if they tuned in thinking that that's what they were going to see, they ended up seeing someone who is not weird at all. Right. What was weird was Walz, and the Tiananmen Square question, the way that he answered that, being friends with this school shooter. I mean, that was what was weird.
Yeah. I want to touch it. Daisy, I want to pick up on something that you said that's so interesting, because I've done a ton of media training over the decades. And you always tell people pivot back to like your safe space. And you brought this up because I agree with you. When he initially kind of pumped into the bio stuff, I'm like, oh, good. Where are you going? Like, I get it. You want to. But you know what he did so masterfully is that he would say, I'm going to get to your question. Yeah. And then he did. And I was like, wow, like, he didn't. He made it very clear. I'm getting to your question. I acknowledge you. I acknowledge the question, and then I'm actually going to address it. And I felt like, wow, that was how you're supposed to do it. And because the audience had the same reaction that you and I both did, I think, where it was like, are you going to answer this or are you evading it? And he made it clear. Like, I loved how he did it. It was, I heard what you just said. I'm going to answer your question, but let me just tell you a couple quick things first. And then he would say, okay, now on to your question. And I felt like, dude, this is fantastic. Like you didn't try to evade anything. Whereas Tim Walz was like, and this is your point, Mock. This is one that I find so fascinating. When you're either at Tiananmen Square or you're not, right?
All I said on this is I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Seriously, he's like, you know what? The more I think about it, it was a Target outside Edina, Minnesota. I got it wrong. I confused it.
I'm a knucklehead.
I'm a knucklehead. I thought the Target... you know how it is. You walk outside a Target and you think maybe I'm in Tiananmen Square. I get it confused. You know how it is. It was winter. There was snow. I hadn't cleaned my car. I thought it was Tiananmen Square. I mean, seriously, the guy who's like, I'm a knucklehead. A knucklehead is like, I mean, my wife sometimes when I get back from ordering food, she'll go, did you check the bag, right? You know, did you check the order? And I'll be like, you know, I'll look in, I'm like, oh, no French fries.
I come from a middle-class family, so.
Right.
but like, you know, that to me is a knucklehead where it's like, did you actually, you know, oh my gosh, I forgot to get gas. I knew I was like, I'm a knucklehead. I forgot to pick up the dry cleaning. I knew there were 3 things. That's a knucklehead. A knucklehead doesn't go, yes, I totally forgot that when I've been telling everyone for decades I was at Tiananmen Square, I really was in Nebraska. Like, that's a lie. And it's a pattern of lying, right? It's, I lied about IVF. I lied about weapons of war. I lied about my rank in the military. I lied about receiving a Chamber of Commerce award from a place in Nebraska. He has a pattern, and his answer, you know, my grammar sucks and I'm a knucklehead.
Yeah. And then he insults all the people at least some of the people in Minnesota, because he's like, and then they elected me anyway, even though I'm a complete knucklehead. Isn't that funny? I mean, there have to be people out there, the liberals, the Democrats who voted this guy in as governor thinking, yeah, we elected this knucklehead. What did we do?
But that's why the thing that I thought was interesting is that, number one, they chose the weakest thing to fact check him on, right? Number two, they let him get away with that. And I know this is like, I feel like you know, I won't let like a dog with a bone on this. But I do think it's to this. Donald Trump lies about everything. He's horrible, blah, 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 blah. And this guy has a pattern of lying about every single thing in his life. And he chalks it up to like bad grammar. And I'm a knucklehead. And I'm like, no. That's, like I said, a knucklehead or forgetting something or saying something incorrectly with respect. And I believe me, you don't need to look at a lot of tapes to see that I've had my screw ups, right? I've said words wrong. I've gotten things confused, you know, mixed up. I get that. I'm sympathetic to it. But lying about the fact that you're in Tiananmen Square, lying about your record over and over again, that's not confusion. That's not grammar. That's lying. And it's just the media loves to talk about Trump and his whatever they call it, something with the, you know, relationship with the truth. And yet for him, it's like, oh, look at how folksy Timmy is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's going to get cover. This is what they do. They provide Democrats with cover, and there's a completely different set of rules for Democrats than there is for Republicans. And as evidenced again by the whole setup of that debate last night, if you couldn't see that, then I can't help you. I mean, it's like, again, it was 3-on-1. And I was like, here we go again.
Yeah.
All right. So you brought up 3-on-1. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room. I thought that you couldn't suck worse than ABC News hosting a debate. CBS took sucking to a level that I had not thought was possible. I mean, it was bad in so many respects. I go back to what I've said all along, which is the media this cycle has said, I don't care anymore. We're not going to hide it. We need to stop Donald Trump. And last night was proof again.
I was screaming at my TV in that moment, screaming when Margaret Brennan tried to fact check Vance on the whole Springfield, the Haitian, the legal status, illegal status. The way that they cut him off and the way that they editorialized, because there was the moment from Nora too about the climate change. Well, the consensus among scientists is that climate change is whatever it is. I mean, there was no place for it, especially after they set the rules and said, we're not going to be fact checking. And so good on Vance for trying to fact check the fact checker, because she was absolutely wrong. But they were awful in every way. The way that she was constantly saying your time is up when he had already stopped talking. The way that they would say we have so much to get to, which took more time than if they would have just gotten to the things. Like the moderators were absolute last night. Sorry.
No, they sucked.
They were.
I just don't get it. Because no one's asking for this. I got asked this morning on a radio interview, why do we have to do this? And I'm like, we don't. It should be literally a stage, X amount of time, an hour and a half, 5 topics, go. It has to be. I mean, why do we need 2 moderators for a 2-person debate? Because the network wants to highlight it and make it about them and show their talent off. This is, it's too much about them. And every point that you made about Margaret and Nora was right. They tried to make it about them. Also, did the DNC write the topics? I wrote this down.
Totally.
I wrote down, here's the topics. Childcare, abortion for 40 minutes. I mean, seriously, climate change, guns, democracy.
J6.
Well, that's democracy.
Yeah. So, oh my God, that took forever. And I was like, why are we spending so much time on it? I mean, it was just belabored. I was like, can we move on?
What we didn't talk about, China.
Right.
We didn't talk about foreign policy. We didn't talk about the military. We didn't talk about veterans. I mean, there were so many things that
there's port strike.
The port strike, AI, big tech. I mean, there was like a list of things where I was like, okay, all these other things are happening. And we could have gone on just about the economy and immigration for a long time. But it was like, I just want to make sure that we that was a home field advantage for Tim Walz. And he still looked like Don Nichols, got mugged by an old uncle.
Somebody in our group this morning in our chat said they look like a frazzled Captain Kangaroo.
Oh, not bad. Yeah,
that's a pretty good one. Yeah.
Although somebody else I was on this, this morning meeting thing I do with Mark Halpert in the morning, and somebody said that Vance looked like Jim from The Office, where he was just like,
oh yeah,
point
when he was
taken,
looking
Dwight.
at the clock.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I just, all right. I mean, I don't know that I want to belabor this anymore, but I will say CBS did itself no favors. Republicans need, and I think it was Joe Concha who tweeted out, Republicans need to stop going on CBS News. Last night just showed how much they hate us and Trump and Vance and everything. And I feel like we keep playing into their hands. We agree to their debates. We agree to go to their forums. We agree to their rules. I mean, you brought it up, I think it mocked just a second ago. Like, we've got to start saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love for that to happen. And that kind of brings up the whole 60 Minutes thing that's supposed to happen. Like, is that going to happen? I don't know, because
Trump says no. Trump says, I'm not going. And I got to be honest with you. I've known him for 10 years, maybe a little longer. And I was convinced he was going to get into this because it's legacy media. He loves 60 Minutes.
Well, right now they came to me and would like me to do an interview. But first I want to get an apology because the last time I did an interview with them, if you remember, they challenged me on the computer. They said the laptop from hell was from Russia. And I said it wasn't from Russia, it was from Hunter. And I never got an apology. So I'm sort of waiting. I'd love to do 60 Minutes. I do everything. I mean, I do you right now, right?
But I kept saying to myself the whole time they were negotiating, I'm like, they are going to burn you. And I am so proud of the campaign. They put out a statement saying last night, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
And but then he said he would if he got an apology. So that's why I'm
and they didn't live fact check them.
Yeah, but they're never going to apologize.
No,
you guys.
I can't imagine.
Never going to happen. Yeah, legacy media is never going to apologize. It's just not going to happen. And they've been completely awful to Donald Trump. It would be great, like in a utopia, if we could handle these debates moving forward, because we're just never going to go backwards at this point. If we could handle the debates in some sort of an alternative media setting, Even
So
if you
here's
had,
just so
it would be
I'm
great.
clear, Daisy, like here's the thing. This isn't I did it in 2016 in terms of reforming the Republican ones. The solution is actually really easy. And this is where the Presidential Commission on Debates had a stranglehold. They made it corporate. They had Budweiser and Coke and all these big sponsors. Here's my thing. You find a university or I don't care, a school stage, right? Because you don't need a big audience. You don't need that. They had turned this into a spectacle. So you pick a stage, you get someone's got to pay for the transmission, right? Because that's fact. You get this thing set up, which I think that there's enough do-gooders out there in the world that would give a grant or something like this. And then you pick what I say is a timekeeper, not a moderator. And the campaigns agree on subjects, and you say, great, 5 subjects, the economy, inflation, whatever, who cares? 10 minutes apiece. Each side gets 5 minutes or whatever. And you just say, hey, the timekeeper's job is to keep time. And for the first 10 minutes, it's the economy. The second 10 minutes, it's foreign policy. Then it's, border security or whatever. And let the candidates talk, and that's it. And by the way, and then you do what they called, you just allow it to be pooled and open feed, which is what happened last night, basically. We're already halfway there. CBS, and then before that, CNN and ABC, they might have hosted it, but everybody could carry it. So they'll all take it. Everybody will carry it. But what I would argue is just say, great, what we're doing is we're going to have it at this university, which would be, and there's a stage, the 2 candidates show up. It's going to be an hour and a half, whatever, 10 minutes a subject, boom, 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 boom. And a timekeeper says, okay, go. Each of you has 5 minutes to talk about the economy. When that's done, now we're doing 10 minutes on foreign policy, 10 minutes on, and we work through the issues. It's mano y mano. That's it. Game over.
I think that would be awesome. That would be great. And then follow that up with town halls all over the country.
With audience questions.
Yes, ma'am. Like open mic town halls where actual people who are paying these freaking people's salaries can ask questions and say, what do you think about that? What do you think about this? And have them be put on the spot and be unscripted and not have the questions in advance and just be asked questions by real people who they are supposed to be accountable to.
Yeah, the problem is that the media, I mean, you guys brought this up. It was 3-on-1. If you're a Democrat, why you're like, great, I have it at CBS or ABC. I know I'm going to get friendly topics from friendly people, right? They don't want to give that up. They know they benefit in a 3-on-1 situation versus a 1-on-1. I want to one of the issues that I do last night for the first time in my 30 years of campaigning, a Democrat was on defense on the issue of abortion. Jd Vance schooled Tim Walz.
Now, of course, Donald Trump has been very clear that on the abortion policy specifically, that we have a big country and it's diverse. And California has a different viewpoint on this than Georgia. Georgia has a different viewpoint from Arizona. And the proper way to handle this, as messy as democracy sometimes is to let voters make these decisions, let the individual states make their abortion policy. And I think that's what makes the most sense in a very big, a very diverse, and let's be honest, sometimes a very, very messy and divided country.
And I thought to myself, bottle that up, send it to every Republican, and go.
Well, he did. I agree with you, except that there was not enough pushback on the lie that was that Georgia woman's story. And that, that
so
needed
go
to
with
be
that.
called
Tell
out.
me. Go with that. What's the lie that needs to get exposed?
Well, the lie is that somehow it is a Trump abortion ban, which isn't even a thing, that killed that woman when in fact it was because she got a medical abortion and then there was absolute medical malpractice that had nothing to do with laws or anything legal about abortion as a procedure. So it's just a lie that they keep telling over and over, much like Project 2025 is a lie. And those things did not get called out. So while I agree with you, I still think that there was a little room for improvement.
The reason that I asked you to expand on this a little is that I thought the other lie was what Tim Walz did in Minnesota was he changed the law with respect to what a doctor is obligated to do if an abortion fails. And that's where I thought JD could have just gone in for the kill and said, you changed the law so that a doctor doesn't have to provide care if the abortion is botched, which therefore then is a life. And Tim Walz was like, it's like not being in Tiananmen Square. He's like, I'm not familiar with that bill that I signed.
That's been debunked, he said.
Right. He lied. He totally lied.
But JD's response was so brilliant. He goes, tell me where I'm wrong. And he was like, Tiananmen Square, stolen. I mean, I was a command sergeant. I mean, he was like, he was like, fact checked. What do you mean? Explain. JD was so cool. He was like, I'm sorry.
He was.
Tell me what
He was cool. I just wish he would have been a little bit meaner sometimes. There were a
But,
couple.
yeah,
I
I'm with
know,
you. There
I
were a couple
know.
times. No, Daisy, I'm with you on this. Like, I was like, dude, you got, it was like the Karate Kid where I was,
Right.
sweep the knee, Johnny. Like, yeah. Like, I was like, you got
Sweep
him.
the leg.
Right, you got him right there in the corner. Sweep the leg.
Sweep
And
the
he was just
leg.
like, no. I'm
I
gonna just.
know.
And I was like, I get it, but I think JD really wanted to make sure that people who thought he was the devil incarnate was
Right.
like this real, and he did. He came across, and I will take that. But believe me, I'm with you guys. Like, there were a couple times where I'm like, dude, you got him. Take him out. No mercy.
I know. I think he is like that. I think he genuinely is a
He
good
is.
man. And I love that about him. I really do. And I think we talked about this a little bit this morning about how we are just not used to that now because the discourse has become so awful in our country. We're old enough to remember when debates were like the one last night. We're old enough to remember that. But we've gotten so far away from that we're like, go for the jugular, go for it.
But don't you? I actually want a little of that. I'm so tired of being like,
I hear you.
Congressman, good point. Let me just say that I agree with the gentleman and his friends. I'm like, you're not
I'm with
friends.
you.
And I want you to
I know.
fight for me. I want you to fight. I want you to tell me that the debt's too high, that we got to take on China, that you're willing to take on the swamp. But like, I want some fight. And so I'm tired of the whole, like, the gentleman's got a point, and I wish that we could work together in a bipartisan fashion and form a commission with talking points and PowerPoint. You know what? Go tell me that you're going to, and I mean, I'm with you. There's a little bit of, give me a little something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you, Sean. We need some pit bulls. We need them because the Democrats fight dirty. They're nasty, and they are like,
dude, they pushed the Biden out. These guys weren't like, they cut the guy out. They cut his leg. That was literally like, hey, go sweep the knee. They got him out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know why we're all sitting here like, playing patty cake, and they're just like, Nancy Pelosi's like, he's too old. He's lost it. Take him out.
Yeah, they're vicious. They're vicious. And you have to fight back with that equal viciousness, which I think a lot of people on our side are they're a little uncomfortable with. And so, I mean, while it was nice to see that I do appreciate that he was tempered in his response. I really like, he's the greatest pick. He really was a great
last
pick
night,
by Trump.
I think, I'm telling you, I was walking around. I felt like, sometimes like a little gloating. I was like, people were texting me and they were just like, okay, dude, you were right. He really is that good. And I'm like, told you so. Look, he got up there. And from the second that he took the stage, I was like, dude, he is on his game.
Yeah.
He just looked collected. And the thing is that he has a command of the issues. But the bottom line is this, and I said this in different ways. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are both authentic. You mentioned it when it comes to how he interacts. I agree with you. Like, it's real. It's not, this isn't conjured. That's how he treats people. He's a nice person.
Yeah. It's like when Walz mentioned that his son was witness to that shooting, you could see on Vance's face that he was like visibly touched by that. Like he was emotionally responding to that moment. That wasn't fake.
Yeah.
That was real. Yeah. It was very real. And that was touching to watch that. I was like, okay. I mean, he's having a moment where he's like, dude, I really feel for you. I'm so sorry. He meant that. I mean, he really meant that. And I like that about him.
Yeah. No, I loved it. I thought that he hit all the right notes last night. I was really proud of how he came across, and also the contrast between him and Walz. So I couldn't have been happier. I literally felt, I wish I was like that was more. All right. Last question for you guys. I know what Trump said on Truth Social last night, but do you think there's any chance that we see Trump and Kamala on a debate stage again?
I don't think we will.
I don't want that. I think it would be a big I just don't think he needs to do it at this point.
Okay. All right. I'm kind of with you at this point. Although I
Can you just text him and ask?
Right.
him.
Well,
I do. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. It's always a pleasure. You guys, I love watching your show in the morning too. I get a chance to click on it when I'm getting ready, and it's so entertaining. But thank you guys for always being with us and having fun.
Thank you. We love being here.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. That was a great conversation. I'm going to now let's get into it. Let's get into the road to 270 like we always do. Real quick, before I do that, I was up late last night. You guys know I've been talking about getting to sleep sometimes and having trouble doing it. I've had a game changer by taking Beam's Dream Powder. This stuff not only tastes amazing. This is the cinnamon cocoa, which if you're like a big coffee or cocoa drinker, you would probably want to drink this all day. But I'm telling you, don't do it. It will put you to sleep. I love this. About a half hour before I go to bed, I take one little scoop of it. I put it in some water, heat it up in the microwave for 30 seconds. That gets it warm. Some people might want it warmer or put milk in it. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to tell you, 30 minutes later, your head hits the pillow and you're out. If you've tried things before, magnesium, melatonin, I've tried all that. This adds all of these things plus apigenin, reishi, all of that stuff in one delicious formula. And I'm not kidding when I say it's delicious. Like, I would have this every morning if it didn't make me sleepy. Professionals, athletes, everybody's been taking Beam Dream Powder because it works and it's all natural. You wake up feeling ready to go, ready to start the day. There's no grogginess because it's all natural. For a limited time, you can get up to 40% off your first order. Go to shopbeam.com. Use code word Spicer, shopbeam.com/Spicer. It's a game changer when it comes to falling asleep and staying asleep. All right. Without further ado, I want to jump into the road to 270. So because time is shorter this week because we did debate analysis, I'm going to start the map where we've left off before, right? So you can see it right there. Democrats at 226, Republicans 219. Those are all the states that we agree on, right? I put Virginia, New Hampshire, Minnesota in her column. I said this before. Maybe this changes, maybe it doesn't. But for the sake of today, because there's no data as of right now that show that that's trending one way or the other. I'm not saying it won't and it can't. I know the Trump campaign feels very bullish, especially on Virginia, where I live. Good for them. But this is where things start fairly agreeable. I think if you brought this to any Democrat, they would probably not argue. So let's pick up 226 Harris, 219 Trump. I'm going to go in order right off the bat to these Rust Belt states where I think Trump, the strongest state that Trump had in my mind is Arizona. 11 electoral votes. Trump is currently up in the Real Clear Politics average 2.1%, 49.3 to 47.2. Here's the thing though. When you look at polls, when you look at what's happening, it's important to look at the trend, right? So one poll here, one poll there doesn't excite me because you can always get that screen wrong that we've talked about in the past. But Trump is up 8 of the last 9 polls, anywhere from 1 to 6 points. There is only one poll, and I'm looking at it right now, that Harris is up. That was done by Bloomberg, which doesn't have a strong track record. But every other thing, Emerson, Trump 3, that's the latest one. Trump up 1 in Insider Advantage, Trump up 6 in USA Today, Trump up 1 in Atlas, Trump up 3 in Fox. These, all the last things, the trend is with Trump, right? I don't think that Democrats would argue that this, for a million reasons, is going in his direction. So I'm going to put this in red, but I just want to be clear. In 2016, Arizona went for Trump. Stein was on the ballot, the Green Party candidate. We went over this one. She took about 34,000 votes. Trump won in 2016 by 91,000 votes. Biden ended up in the books taking the state by 10,000 votes. The Green Party was basically non-existent. Yes, they were on the ballot, but they took 1,557 votes. This is going to be a big deal this time because Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate, is on the ballot. RFK is not. Here's the other thing. Trump has never trailed in the RCP average, ever, right? Again, let's go through that trend. Last time I had this light red. I'm willing to go solid red this time. By the way, Senate race there. Just a quick heads up on that. Ruben Gallego is up in that race still. He is up by about 6.3 in the average, including the last two. He has, in the last 2 public polls, he's up by 11 and up by 6. That's where that Senate race stands. All right, let's move over to Georgia. 16 electoral votes. I think this is the second most confident state that will go in Trump's direction. He's currently up 49.4 to 47.9. That's 1.5% in the Real Clear Average Politics that Trump is up. You notice the 49.4 that I talked about right off the bat. He's super close to 50. There have been 11 polls that have come out since September 15th. He's tied in 2. She's up in 1, but he's up in all of the rest. The last one by 5, by the way. And the late September trend is all Trump and growing in the Trump thing, right? So this is a big deal. Again, let's just read this off. Quinnipiac up 5. Then there's the inside advantage tie. Atlas, Trump up 1. CBS, Trump 2. Harris up 3. That gets you back to that. But everything else is either tied or Trump up. The trend is going towards Trump. I feel very good about this. Remember, he beat Hillary Clinton. Think about this, 50.77. This is pretty much where he is right now. Stein only got 7,000 votes, which is 0.9 in 2016. It was Gary Johnson, the libertarian, who took 125,000 votes. That's where the problem was for Trump in 2016. In 2020, Biden comes out of there with a 11,000 vote lead in the books, and the libertarian got 62,000. This is going to be interesting. That's where the spoiler is there. As of now, neither Stein nor RFK is on the ballot here. I think this is pretty close to solid red, and I'm willing to go there today to put this in the solid red category. It will be interested in how the storm affects voting. Governor Kemp doing a phenomenal job there. So I feel good about this for Trump. Let's get into North Carolina, 16 electoral votes there. The Real Clear Politics average 49.1 to Trump to 48.4 for her. Trump is up 0.7, a slight uptick from the last time we did this, but the trend, as we've talked about, is the right way. Let's go through the last few polls. Emerson, Trump up 1. Washington Post, Trump 2. Quinnipiac, Trump 1. Insider Advantage, Trump 1. East Carolina University, Trump up 2. CNN tie. I mean, you see that? Oh, it's him. Boom, 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 boom. She doesn't actually lead in a poll since the Atlas poll on September 20th. It's all moving in the Trump direction. So it's not just one poll. You saw that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the last 5 polls all have Trump up. Now, he's not up outside the margin of error. That's what I would say, just keep an eye on it. In 2020, the Green Party got 12,000 votes. Stein is on the ballot here, so keep a factor. The big X factor to me in North Carolina is going to be the after effects of Hurricane Helene. Okay? Let's just be bottom line this. I don't mean to be crass. I hope everyone gets the support and help that they need. Our prayers and thoughts go out to the people of North Carolina. But this is a political show, and I'm talking about politics and elections, so I've got to be straight with you guys. Early voting in North Carolina probably benefited the Democrats, right? It's going to be hard to vote early with a lot of these places not open. It's going to be hard to mail a ballot or to receive a ballot. That puts the onus back on election day voting in 30 days from now. And I think that there's going to be a lot that's rectified by then. That benefits Trump. I feel very good. I'm willing to put this light red right now. By the way, a brand new Washington Post poll came out yesterday of North Carolina has Donald Trump leading Kamala Harris 50 to 48. And by the way, if you're interested in the governor's race there, the Washington Post poll has Josh Stein, the Democrat, up 54-38 among likely voters. That's huge. I hate to tell you, I don't see any hope for that race at all. And, considering the last couple of stories that have come out about Lieutenant Governor Robinson, I wouldn't put out a lot of hope on this. All right. That's where I think things stand right now for Trump. He's got 262. This is where it gets interesting. Nevada, the Real Clear Politics average has Harris up 48.7 to Trump 47.6. That's a 1.1 average for Harris. This is basically where it was the last time that we did this. The last time that we did this road to 270, it was 46.4 to 47.6 for Harris. She was up by 1.2. She's now up by 1.1. That's not much. But here's the thing. She has hit 50% in a number of polls where, you look at the last couple, the American Greatness TIPP poll, she's at 50. Atlas, she was at 51. Bloomberg at 52. Why I say that? Again, if we're going to be honest about trends, it's not good for Trump the last several polls. I'm not saying this is margin of error, folks. I'm not, don't. And McLaughlin, as you guys saw the other day, was very bullish on this. Nevada has been very close in 2016, 2 points separated Clinton from Trump. Stein got 37,000 votes that time, and Hillary Clinton only won by 27,000. That would have totally helped Clinton. In 2020, it was 33,000 votes for Biden, but the Green Party wasn't on the ballot. That was a huge blow, and she will not be this time. Remember, they sued to get her off the ballot in Vegas. So I'm going to tell you this right now. Based on the current trends, I'll put this at light blue. It's definitely, I think, I will not be surprised on election night if Trump picks this thing up. We haven't done it since 2004, but right now we're not there. This is still now, where are we? This is critical. Trump, again, the blue wall, we're here. 262, 232. He needs 8 electoral votes. Any one of those 3 states, he becomes president and returns. Any one of them. Let's just run through them real quick because this is the game. This is the ball game. Remember, if you disagree with him in Nevada, if we were to take that out and put it in Trump's column, that gets him to 268. He's still too short. So it doesn't matter. Nevada's great. It would be helpful at the end of the day. I think it would be great, right? But if he gets to 268, that's too short. If she carries the blue wall in this scenario, she wins. But there are cracks throughout it. So let's get into Michigan because that's the one that is the closest, ironically, or that I think could be the most helpful. The last time, the current RCP average has Harris 48.9 to Trump 47.4. That's Harris by 1.4. This is among the blue wall states. Interesting. I think this is the one that Trump could really do well on. But the 2 latest polls, or the way this thing is going, fares better for Harris. I don't agree with this. Now, again, I got to be honest. If I'm going to keep talking about the data, I got to rely on the data. But I'm just telling you, when you look at the 2 latest polls, Trump has his up 4 and her up 1 and the one behind that. So the Atlas poll in Michigan has Trump up 4. But you go beyond that. You go beyond that one poll from Atlas, and Atlas is very well respected. Harris up 1, Harris up 3, tie, Harris up 2, Harris up 3, Harris up 2, Harris up 5, Harris up 5. So, you know, I'll give this to her at light blue because right now, data-wise, it doesn't look good. But for all of the reasons we've talked about in the past, the black men trending for Trump, and we're seeing this all over the place. The union workers, the Arab vote, all of these things, right? Are things that favor Trump campaign. On election night, I will tell you, I will not be surprised in the least if he carries the entire blue wall, but specifically Michigan. There's something about it for me that I think is in his favor. The data's not lining up right now. I expect to see some public polls in the next week showing that it's not just Atlas. So when we do this again next week, maybe I'm willing to go back and put it in a toss-up category, not just yet. Remember, by the way, there's a Senate race there. Congresswoman Elise Slotkin versus former Congressman Mike Rogers. There's a headline in Axios. Rep. Alyssa Slotkin warrants Harris is underwater in Michigan. The private polling that she's doing mirrors what I'm telling you. I think that Michigan is in play big time and could be a big thing. She's telling them, her donors, that Harris is underwater in Michigan, according to the reporting from Axios on this leaked clip. She has a 4.6 average in Nevada, in Michigan for the Senate race. But that brand new Atlas poll also has Mike Rogers, the former congressman, the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, former Army guy. He's up 5 in that poll. I think this could be the sleeper Senate race of the cycle. Keep that in mind. Mark my word on that. All right, Wisconsin. Here's where we are. 10 electoral votes at stake. The RCP average has Harris 49.0, Trump 48.4. That's up 0.6. That's down from 1.2 average where she was the last time that we did this. This is trending in the right way for Trump. Okay. The last 2 polls, she is up 2, but he is in the Atlas poll, right? So this is moving in his direction in the right way. So it's right now you've got her up +2 in the New York Times poll and him up 2 in the Atlas poll, her up 3 in the Bloomberg, and then the last 2 before that are tie and tie. This is truly a toss-up state. There's no question about it. RFK is still on the ballot both in Wisconsin and in Michigan. That could be a little thing. I had this light blue last time. I'm keeping this a toss-up. This is no question. It's a toss-up and moving in the right direction. By the way, there is a Senate race there. Tammy Baldwin, she is currently leading Eric Hovde. He's been on the show before by 3.3. That's trending in the right direction as well, by the way. The last time we did this, Tammy Baldwin up over Eric Hovde by 5.2. So this is moving in the right direction. in everywhere. And that makes me feel very good. All right. All roads continue to lead us back to Pennsylvania. So let's just get in on this. Pennsylvania, 19 electoral votes. This is the big prize. As I said, Trump can win any of these 3 battleground states, these 3 blue wall states, and he wins. He's back in the office of the White House. The current RCP average has Trump 48.2 to her 48.1. That is, I mean, technically Trump is up 0.1, but let's be real. That is a dead heat if you could possibly drive it. The last time it was 0.2 for Trump, so it's basically a push. The last 4 polls, Emerson, tie. Trafalgar, up 3 for Trump. Tie from Fox. Atlas, Trump up 3. Again, the trend is in Trump's direction here, guys. I'm telling you, if it comes down to Pennsylvania, there's no question. The way this is going, Trump is going to win Pennsylvania. In 2016, he won by 44,292 votes. That was 0.7%, right? Unbelievable. Jill Stein, by the way, 49,000 votes when she ran in 2016. Biden, by the way, in 2020, 80,000 votes. This is going to be a razor's edge race. Stein is on the ballot here. This is going to be critical. Scott Pressler doing amazing work on voter registration. Based on the folks that I know that I'm watching this thing, this is going in the right direction for Trump. I predict on election night, Donald Trump wins, especially because of Pennsylvania. In that Senate race, Bob Casey continues to lead, about 3.7% average there over Dave McCormick. But again, this is another one where McCormick's running an amazing campaign, amazing ads. We keep bringing this up. Trust me when I tell you, I think that this thing becomes a Donald Trump. Both he breaks the blue wall big time and takes this thing. So keep an eye on the blue wall, both Pennsylvania and in Wisconsin. But then, as I said, Michigan, I feel very good about this. This is going to be huge, not just for Trump, but for these Senate races. We know we're going to pick it up because of Montana, right? We're going to pick that Senate race up. They feel very good about West Virginia, obviously, as well. That gets us the majority. This could be big, though, for the Senate majority, picking up 52 and 53 seats there. Anyway, next week when we do this, we're going to go the old school. We're going all the way west to east, north to south, because we'll have more time. But I wanted to do the VP analysis for you to make sure that we talked about that. We've got Michael Whatley on Friday, big panel tomorrow. A lot of big asks, as I mentioned, for the rest of the cycle. Always hit that notification button because I think we're going to go live a couple more times as well. So we'll have more information on that as well. We'll go live periodically. That's why the notification and subscription buttons are crucial. We'll see you back here tomorrow with a big panel discussion and Michael Whatley, the RNC chairman, on Friday. Thanks for being with us. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.